Within the Else, Episode 15, The World Before the World, narrated by Dr. Mason Bell, field linguist, mythologist, former skeptic. They didn't want me to translate it. Not because they were afraid of what it said, but because they thought it said nothing. Just a series of repeated symbols carved into the underside of a slate shelf in a cave no one was supposed to find. I was brought in as a consultant, a formality. Something to do before the site was declared a fluke of nature, not a relic of civilization. They should have burned it. I remember the moment I traced the first symbol. It moved, not physically, not in the way ink flows or shadows shift. It rearranged itself in my mind, like it knew I could almost understand it, and it was helping me finish the thought. There was no Rosetta Stone, no cipher, no known route. But as I kept staring, I began to remember meanings I never learned, and the symbols told me something horrifying. This was not the first world. I kept quiet at first. What would I say? Hi, I'm Dr. Mason Bell, and I've decoded an alien language that says our entire history is version 2.0? No. I kept translating. I stopped sleeping. The symbols flooded my dreams, sometimes forming whole places, impossible cities made of light and memory, roads that curled into themselves, towers that sang, and one name kept appearing, Elish Ka. I didn't know what it meant, but the moment I said it aloud, the lights in my lab flickered, and something whispered, yes. The more I learned, the more reality changed. Books I'd had for decades began containing different chapters. Old friends recalled different versions of our shared past. My own journals shifted, pages gone, entries replaced with ones I never wrote. But the cave stayed constant, unchanged. It was anchored. And I think that's why the erased world still bled through. Because the symbols had teeth, memory, intention. I kept notes, digitally, handwritten, carved into wood, spoken into recorders. I tried to stay ahead of the shifts. That's when I saw the map. Not in the cave, in my kitchen wall. One morning, it was just there, sketched in charcoal lines, pulsing slightly. A topography of somewhere else, a place that no longer exists, but once ruled everything. I matched it to the symbol fragments, the world before the world, and on its eastern edge, in a small ring of glyphs, one phrase repeated, "Do not awaken what chose to be forgotten." Too late. People started visiting me. They said they were academics, historians, but they asked the wrong questions, smiled too long. One slipped, called me by a name no one should know, caretaker. I shut the door in his face and burned every note I hadn't already hidden. And then I vanished. Not physically, not at first, just from memory. My university emails returned undelivered. My credentials were revoked. Old colleagues swore they never worked with me. My parents didn't remember me. Only I remembered me, and Elish Ka. Eventually, I returned to the cave, but it was gone, literally. The coordinates led to flat grassland. No opening, no slope, not even a hill, just sky. But I knew better. It had moved, or folded, or receded. It didn't want to be found again, unless it had to be. That was years ago. Now I live off-grid. The symbols still visit me, etch themselves into frost, show up in knots of wood grain, burn themselves into my tea leaves. And sometimes, when I'm half asleep, I see the erased world in flashes. Its cities, its creatures, its war. I think we weren't the first, and we weren't the best. We were the reboot. And they're watching us for the same reason you might watch a fire you thought you put out. Because if we ignite again, they'll return. End of episode 15, Within the Else, The World Before the World.